The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome everyone to this webinar about what's new in the latest update that we have launched on our platform. My name is Victor Conesa. I'm the VP of Product here at Justinmind. And we're going to cover basically the major things that we have changed in this last update that we launched last week. Basically, the major feature that we have included is the plugin for Sketch, and we're going to spend most of the time of this webinar talking about how to work with Sketch and Justinmind together, and so on and so forth. Then I will do a very brief introduction on how to play a sound file. You will see that it's super simple, but I'm pretty sure that you already have a bunch of use cases where you can use this new option in the events. I'm going to explain the new option now available to select elements that are within a master as targets for an event, and we're going to do a few examples of that. And we're going to explain, a very little bit about the roadmap and what's coming. Just a reminder, you are all in listen-only mode, but please feel free to ask anything that you may want to ask using the questions panel at the right side of your screen in the GoToWebinar panel. There is a section where you can leave any kind of questions. We will read the questions and we will leave some time at the very end of the presentation to address all those questions that you may ask. Can be questions about this new release, or questions about the product, or questions in general. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's start with the plugin for Sketch. So in this new version, what we thought was, okay, you can actually recreate many design things inside Justinmind itself. So the design capabilities of Justinmind are decent enough to recreate components, to recreate like styles and everything. But we understand that that could be time consuming if that's not your design tool of choice. But even worse, there is no way in Justinmind that we can recreate all the materials that are already there done with a sketch. So just as an example, right? This is one of the many websites where you can download things done with Sketch. In this website, there are 2,600 resources that would be the equivalent of examples and libraries already done in Sketch. So it's just humanly impossible to recreate all these things in Justinmind. It would take ages to do that. And on top of that, many of you already have your own company libraries or components created with Sketch. And that was becoming an issue, actually, given that Sketch is becoming a standard. And what was happening in many of our clients is that even though they were using Justinmind, in most cases, incorporating a new person to the team, especially if it's a UX team, will know that UX is just growing. So those UX teams are just growing, and you guys keep hiring new people to incorporate to those teams. And most of them, they already know how to use Sketch, and they usually work with Sketch, and they usually design with Sketch. So it could be also really hard for those people to just start right away with Justinmind and getting them out of Sketch and just putting them in Justinmind. So for all those reasons, we thought, okay, we have to find a way to not just copy and paste individual assets from Sketch to Justinmind. That is what we had so far. And also we have found that even the SVG option inside Justinmind was not enough. So we thought, okay, we have to just find a way to let our users to extract all the information within a sketch file into a format that they can use inside Justinmind, right? So after some exploration, we decided to build a plugin for Sketch that allows you to generate a VP file, a Justinmind file, from a Sketch file with all the different layers and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so the first step to use this kind of plugin is, well, one thing that you can do is just to go to the Sketch website, go to the extensions section. That's where they have most of their plugins. If you go to the See All option, you will see the Justinmind Sketch plugin here. So you just click here, you're brought to this place, and just scroll down and follow the installation instructions, which are really simple. Just download the plugin, double click on it, and it will install automatically in your Sketch installation, right? So once you have that installed, you just need to do that once. You're going to be able to export from Sketch to Justinmind. Okay, so let's say that we have a Sketch file. This file I have just downloaded from this website, actually. Okay, and you have a Sketch file here, and you want to bring all that information to Justinmind. Since you have already installed the plugin, the Justinmind plugin, you will see this new option in your plugins menu that is called Justinmind. So what you can do is you have two options here. You can either export all the artboards as just like images, so an image for each of the artboards. I know that's there if you want to go that way, but the interesting thing, of course, is to export all the information as as components within Justinmind that we can later edit within Justinmind and add interactions on the specific components that are going to be in Justinmind. Okay, let's do that. And this is what shows up. What we see is the device. We can choose the device that we're going to use for this prototype. We'll see later how to actually change that. So in this case, is the iPhone kind of resolution. You can just check it out, like in the artboard, depending on the size of the artboards. What would be for one device or the other. Just a piece of advice: we have seen some people like creating artboards twice as big as the iPhone resolution. Well, that is an issue. I mean, you shouldn't do that. Okay, you're designing with vector capabilities here, so you can stick to the resolution that is appropriate to iPhone, and then everything will scale without losing any kind of quality. So there's no need to actually design twice as big. If you do that and you export that into Justinmind, well, it will be twice as big, and you will need to resize that manually in every artboard. So just a piece of advice there. Okay, let's export all this information, right? So in this case, it's going to be a prototype for iPhone. And then we have two additional options here that I'm not going to use right now. But it's basically, do you want to export the text as text in Justinmind or just as an image? Well, if you export them as an image, of course you won't be able to, you will not be able to edit the text inside Justinmind. But in some cases, you might want that, uh, especially if you have been changing the spacing between the characters of the text. That's one of the things that you cannot do in Justinmind, so it won't look exactly the same. So if you want to avoid that and it's something that you need, you can use this option. Also, um, if there is some kind of image, you can export it to twice as big. Um, I don't know, in case you need that. But we'll stick with the default options right now, and we will just hit export. So what? Okay, so this thing will create a prototype, a BP for prototype. Yeah, just let's replace it, and it's going to export all the artboards in all the pages, right? So you will have one screen in Justinmind for every artboard that you have in your file. So in this case, the onboarding page inside Sketch has, well, these 5 artboards. Well, all these 5 artboards will be in the new prototype, and we'll do the same for sign in, permission, home, and all these, all the contents inside this Sketch file will be exported to Justinmind. Another really important thing is the names of the layers. So, of course, the names of the layers will be also kept in the Justinmind file that we're going to see. But there is one thing that might be useful for you guys, and it's a good practice for Sketch. That is to use this ICO kind of thing at the beginning of the name of a layer. So if you use these names, what this means is if you have a group of shapes and you group them all together inside Sketch and you name them as, well, ICO dash whatever, all of these guys will be exported in Justinmind as one single image asset, one single SVG file. Okay, we're going to see this in a second. Okay, so the export has finished. So now what we can do is to just go ahead. As you can see, now we have this new file. So we can just open it and see how it looks like. So again, this file will have all the information but translated into a Justinmind prototype. Once you have it in a Justinmind prototype, what are the things that you can do on top of just changing the contents and so on? Well, you can always copy and paste from one prototype to the other, or even merge two prototype files. So we'll see that as well. Let's get it there. Okay, perfect. So if you take a look at the list of screens here, let's move this around. Okay. Okay, if you take a look at the list of screens, you see that we have one screen for each of the artboards. Just a reminder, if you guys want to ask anything, just leave your questions using the panel option at the right side. So what do we have here? Well, if you check it out, it's more than just one big image file there, right? So what we have is every text is going to be exported as a text option inside Justinmind. So you can do things like, well, changing the text, changing the properties of that text, right? So, and if you take the information of the text that we have just imported, is you're bringing not just the text, but you're bringing the right color, the size of that text, the phone family, all the different options. So once here, of course, you can just start doing well interactions and so. Also, a very important thing for the image, for the shapes. The shapes are recreating Justinmind as SVG files. So that means that, for instance, all this group of shapes can be actually resized without without losing any kind of quality in the image assets, right? So let me show you. Okay, let's put the layers here. Okay. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so if you see every single shape, if you check it out here, is in Justinmind as its own SVG object, right? What that means is that there are even some addition options that you can do right in Justinmind without having to go back to Sketch. So, for instance, let's say that I want to change like the color of that green oval there. Well, I can just select that part of the shape and just change the color from here, right? So, yes, some of the things will be recreated in Justinmind as images, but as SVG files. But since they're SVG files, you can also use the different options available in Justinmind for SVGs and do some addition after the fact inside Justinmind without having to go back. So, if you want to rearrange all this shape here, you can make it bigger and change the color of it, and so on and so forth, right? We have to say that once you have all these components within Justinmind, you can start adding interactions. So a very typical kind of use case would be you have a bunch of designs created in Sketch, and okay, let me put the screens here. Okay, and you can say, okay, from the onboarding one, which is going to be, by the way, the initial screen. Onboarding one, and when you click on the next, it's going to go to onboarding two. In onboarding two, when you click next, it's going to show onboarding three. On onboarding three, it goes to onboarding four. Okay. And from here, we go to here. Okay, so in a very easy way, we can just simulate the process that just add interaction to a static thing that we had in Sketch. Of course, on top of that, you can go wild in the events. You know that better than me probably. So you can, let's say, like when you click here, we can go and just hide a specific shape within one of those graphical assets that we have just generated. Okay. Again, because now we have this in Justinmind, we can copy and paste from one from one prototype to another prototype, right? So if we want all this shape in a different prototype, we can just copy and paste to that other prototype, and all the layers and all the vector capabilities will still be there, right? So we're not just copying and pasting like screenshots, or we're actually copying and pasting all the structure, all the layers um, that were defined previously in Sketch, and we're recreating all of that structure within Justinmind. It's also a really good way to start creating your own widget library. So you may have all your components created in Sketch, and then you can just go ahead and recreate the whole thing, well, generate the VB file from there. And once there, you can just go ahead and create your own widget library. And just start saying, okay, this is going to be one widget. And all this guy would be another widget. So now you have that for any kind of prototype that you want to do from that moment on. And again, all the options, all the vector kind of capabilities of the image assets and so are kept within Justinmind, right? Need to say that once you have it there, you can just send it to the device and check all the interactions in your device, or just share it using the sharing options, or link and trace your Jira tickets to these prototypes, and so on and so forth. Okay? Perfect. So that's in a nutshell what this Sketch plugin can do. Do you guys want me to show something specifically, or do you guys have any questions specifically about this Sketch plugin before we move on to the next feature? Okay. If you have any questions, of course, leave them in the questions option. So that don't try to talk, don't scream to the to your microphone, because nobody can hear you. Well, just keep leaving the questions there, and we can address them at the very end. Okay, let's move on. There are a bunch of questions. I will address them at the very end. Okay, they are not that easy questions, actually. Okay, another option, a new action that we have included is the sound option. Okay, so now there is a new action in the events that you can use. So let's do an example real quick. So let's say that you want to simulate a notification, right? And we can use let's load the iOS library. Okay, and let's use this widget that is already ready there. And we have a bunch of notifications that we're going to just delete from here. And the interaction that we want to simulate is, well, just receiving a notification, right? So we create an event that is, okay, this guy is going to be hidden by default. And then on page load, we're going to wait for 2 seconds. And then after that, we're going to show that notification, right? Okay, we simulate that interaction, and well, everything looks cool. Boom, that's there. But what about the sound? There's something missing here, right? So where's the sound of that notification? Well, now with this version, you can also play audio. It's a very simple and simplistic kind of option, but it's kind of powerful in a sense. So it's basically to play an audio file, and in this case, I already have an MP3 file about the notification. So I'm not 100% sure if this is gonna sound with GoToWebinar. So I'm gonna play it, and please, guys, let me know if you're actually hearing that. Okay. Okay. Do you hear that? I'm playing it right now. Okay. Let's do let's try it in a different way. Okay. Let me try again. Oh, I'll go to webinar. Always failing on me. Okay, give 1 second here. Okay, too bad that the sounds don't actually get to what go to webinar, but we can just imagine how this thing is going on, right? So you hit play and it's boom, boom, boom. Okay, it sounds something like that. So basically, now we have this sound action here that we can link to any kind of trigger, and we can add to any kind of sequence of actions, right? So now this simulation, although you won't be able to actually hear it, it shows a notification and it also plays that notification sound. I'm pretty sure that you guys can think of even more use cases for that, thinking like simulating like a fake Siri kind of thing, or well, any kind of sound or a text-to-speech recognition thing. That everything will be fake, of course, but you will at least be able to play those sounds. So that's there. It's that simple. Nothing more, nothing else, nothing less. Finally, there is a new option that allows you to interact with elements that are within a master from a screen. Okay, that's let me just do an example. So let's say that you have a master, and this master has let's create a master here. Okay, it's a bar that has this thing here. Okay, this is our master. Okay, and now we have a bunch of screens where we want to put that master. Okay, so in this screen it goes there, and in this screen goes there, okay, or here. Okay, now with this new version, you can actually, from the events, you can interact with elements that are inside a master. So now when you create an event, if you have things like, for instance, hide, the hide action, if you see now all the different contents within in a master are activated, are enabled. So you can, again, create events from the screen that affect things from a master. If you see in the outline, now you have all the different elements available to select here. So we can say, okay, I want to hide this icon. Okay, and of course that has hidden just the icon in this screen. So if I go to a different screen, right, it's still there. If I go back to the other screen, it just resets, right? So it's not like we're changing that master in all the screens that the master is going to show up, right? It's just affecting this screen. So in case you have a screen that has a different behavior or even different content than the rest of the screens, and you're using a master, well, you no longer need to break the master for that screen and just lose all that sharing options that the master offers you. You can through the events just manipulate these components for that specific screen, and you will still have a master, and you will still have all the sharing and like a place where you can actually do global changes. In the previous version, in 7.8, we included the same kind of capability for templates. So I'm not explaining it here because we already did in the latest webinar. But the same thing that we are doing here with the masters, you can do it as well with templates, with things that are in a template. So if you have a template with a header and it's the same but in a couple of screens, well, you can actually, using events in those screens, or just change whatever is different in those screens without losing that powerful system of templates that allows you to change things globally. Okay, and there are some bug fixes and so on, but they're not that spectacular, so I'm not going to explain them here. A little bit about the roadmap. I can't, although I would love to, I can't explain the details of what's coming in version 8. Why? Well, it wouldn't be the first time some competitor kind of gets really inspired of what we plan to do and they do something suspiciously similar. So we tend to be very secretive in that sense. But what is coming, one of the things that is coming is a way for developers to consume the information that is in the prototypes. So far we had the document generation, like the document export option. That's there, of course. The developers can see the simulation and so on, but how developers are able to get all the visual assets, the specific CSS properties, the distances, the sizes, the positioning of all the elements, and so on and so forth. Well, we're going to do something special for them because although they are developers, we love them anyway. And it's going to be a system, that's how much I can say, for them to, in a very easy way, to consume and to get access to all that information. Also, this sketch integration plugin thing is the first version that we have done. So please let us know if you have any suggestions, if you want something special for that plugin. Let us know, and we would be really happy to improve it. Okay, let's address some of the questions. So one question is the performance of moving SVG elements around the canvas faster than using standard GIMP elements? Asking in part because moving elements around the canvas is generally slow, much slower than in Sketch. Wonder if using Sketch imports will increase performance. Uh, Sadly, no. I mean, we know that we have an issue with performance when you start having a ton of layers and components within a screen, and you will have that when you start using the plugin. I mean, just take a look at in this simple screen on how many elements we have here. Okay, and that is not that many, but there is a bunch here. We're going to tackle that thing. We're going to tackle the performance thing, and we're just going to make everything just go faster, no matter if you're using SVG files or not. So it shouldn't matter if it's a component or an SVG file. I just want to share this question because it's just so funny. Someone says, in GoToWebinar, no one can hear you scream. That's true. Sad at the same time. Okay, let's look at some example specifically. And let's go to this website that I showed you before, the SketchUp resources. So let's try this. I mean, we haven't tested like all the possible sketch files in the internet, as you can imagine. So there might be cases where some of them, need to do some, well, you need to do some rework there. But let's try this one here. Okay. Okay, and let's use the plugin here and see what happens. If you see, we have page 1, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 artboards, right? So we're going to have 9 screens in our prototype. So pages are not screens in Justinmind. They're not equivalent. Artboards are the equivalent of screens in Justinmind. So if we export this thing into a Justinmind file, okay, and we open it, what we should see is one screen for each artboard. It's getting there. Okay. And we said that there were 9 artboards, so that's what you have here. that is exactly what you have here, which is basically 9 artboards that look exactly the same. So, well, not maybe not the best example that you can download from the website, from that website, but that's it's just a complete like match between the number of artboards that you have and the number of pages that you will get in Justinmind. Right? Again, once you have this thing here, you can just start just changing the text or to whatever you want to manipulate all these components, right? Okay, so there is a request from one user that says a way to set the size of the Justinmind artboards could be just selecting the device. So for instance, if we go and say, in this, I guess it's this user refers to the section, says, okay, if I have something that is designed for iPhone, for instance, and I choose iPhone Plus, that could automatically just resize the artboards accordingly. And of course, would be useful to have here even an option like the custom option where you can actually define that size, right? And that it resizes automatically all the artboards to the specific to the appropriate size. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Uh, please let us know if you have any kind of feedback when you start using this plugin, or if you have already done, like if you have already used it and you have suggestions, just please let us know. And feel free to reach to us. We have, you already know, guys, that we have that community section where you can leave your questions there. If you're a client, you have your own client support space. Or if you want to meet with me, just shoot me an email. I would be more than glad to talk to you about how to use Justinmind in your company, how to get the most of it. And just stay tuned for more webinars and for more news about the new version that is going to come. That is going to be really, really cool. There's going to be also in that new version something related with Jira. So it's kind of really nice. We're developing a partnership with Atlassian. They're being super friendly with us. Some of us are right now in the Atlassian summit that is taking place in Europe, and we're presenting there the integration that we already have, and there are more things coming up in that sense in the near future. Just spoiler alert there. Okay, guys, have a really nice day. Thank you for attending the webinar, and let's keep in touch. Oh, by the way, we have been recording the webinar, so we will send you guys the recording in case you want to share it with friends and family and so. Bye-bye.